Salutations, people. And the glitches have been fixed, thank God. And welcome back to Tannenberg. Right, so, full disclosure, I realized that I would be too busy this weekend to make you all another video. So I've just decided to make an extra one and let you have that. So, have fun. And I decided that I would play more Tannenberg because I wanted to. But I decided, since I always play the Bulgarians, because they're my most favourite faction, I would play someone different. So I decided I would play as the Entente. And I figured, who has the weirdest weapons in the Entente? And the Latvian Rifleman ended up winning. Now, primarily, it's because of what I'm currently using that they ended up winning my Weird Weapons of the Day award. And this is a Japanese Arisaka Type 30 rifle. Now, some of you are going to be going in your brains, hang on, why do the Latvians... Oh, you're a bloody Latvian, damn it. Why do the bloody Latvians have Japanese rifles? Well, it's an interesting story actually behind that, and the primary crust of what I wanted to speak about. So, 1905, Japan and Russia have a bit of a squabble over Port Arthur and some of the Manchurian and Chinese sort of sphere of influence that the Russians and the Japanese are fighting over. And they have a big war. Now, short version is the Japanese win, but the Russians end up taking a large number of Arisaka rifles as kind of captured equipment. And they're not really sure what to do with them, because they're non-standard and different sort of rifle to what they're using. So they sort of try and piece together what they need to do. So they pretty much sit in warehouses, but when World War I rocks up, and they discover that they need small arms like yesterday, they end up breaking out all of the old Arisakas they'd captured and issuing them to second-line units. And a lot of them ended up finding their way into the hands of the Latvians. And a lot of the sort of Baltic militia units. And that was partially where these came from. But it's not the only place they came from, because the British also bought a large number of Arisaka rifles to give to the Russians. So they could, originally they bought them off the Japanese for the same sort of reason. They could free up a bunch of their frontline rifles. But then they started getting the Americans to make P-14s for them. And the brain seems to remember 40,000 Arisakas they bought off the Japanese. They didn't need anymore. So they sold them to the Russians, who were already using them for their second line troops. I think they also bought like 10 million rounds of ammunition and sold that to the Russians as well. So that's why the Russians ended up having a bunch of Japanese rifles in World War I. Was partially 1905 captures and partially what the British sold them. Now the Arisaka itself is 6.5 6.5mm 5-shot bolt-action rifle, heavily inspired by the Mauser system. Basically, the Japanese had a rifle trial, and then basically once the trial was over, it stole all the best ideas and made a rifle themselves, so they didn't have to pay anyone to license features. A bit cheeky, the French would be guilty of doing that with the Châtellerault 24 light machine gun later on in history. It's so bloody dark, I'm vaguely just shooting at muzzle flashes here. But yeah, the 6.5 was an interesting rifle cartridge. Now, there was another Russian rifle that also used 6.5, and that was the famous Fedorov rifle, which some people argue is the world's first assault rifle, because it was intermediate, it was 6.5 Japanese. It was capable of semi-auto and fully automatic fire, had 25 round magazine. And the Russians deliberately put it in 6.5 because they wanted a mild cartridge that could be used in fully auto. And 7.62 by 54 rimmed Russian is definitely not that. If you should look up videos of the AVT-36 rifle, which is the 15 round magazine fully automatic version of the, well, what would become the SVT-40. But it was a fully automatic 7.62x54 Russian rifle. And holy shit, it's fucking uncontrollable. So even in 1915, 1916, the Russians kind of knew not to mess with 7.62x54 for fully automatic shoulder arms. Communists didn't get the memo, because communists are inherently stupid. There we go, suppressing fire. So the Fedorov rifle was built on 6.5 Arisaka as the main cartridge. Yeah, quite a fascinating rifle that. I think they only built about 1,500 of them. Incredibly rare. One of those like unicorn guns that you're never going to get outside of a museum. I forgot what the button was for bayonet for a second there was. Right. Put more fucking rounds in the fucking bayonet. Okay, F is full bayonet. Right. Damn it! I bayoneted one, but the other got me. Ah, he's on an MG08 machine gun on the, looked like the 1909 export tripod. Boop. Right. Holy shit. Ah, bugger. Well, we'll use this excuse to swap to another interesting rifle. Actually, it's objectively a worse rifle in this game, although it's quite well beloved in real life. And I have seen a couple of these for sale, but again, I did not have the $6,000 for one of them. This is a Russian Winchester model M1895 lever action rifle in 7.62x54 Russian. So, again, World War I kicks off. The Russians find themselves desperately needing guns yesterday, and they go to whoever is selling guns. Oh, you fucking German scum. So the Russians go to whoever is selling firearms, and that's the Americans, obviously. The Americans end up making firearms for everyone in World War I. Even the Germans, they don't like to talk about that, but they did make munitions for the Germans at the start as well. But regardless, so the Russians approach Winchester and say, hey, we need a rifle, what are you guys selling? And the Winchester are currently selling their model M1895 lever action rifle. Now, it was the first lever action rifle designed by Winchester, designed to take smokeless ammunition. So 1886, the French invented smokeless gunpowder. Everyone sort of rushed to get their own versions. And for the sporting market, Winchester decided that while we have the incredible 1892 and 1894 rifles, it would be nice to, have something in the market for smokeless. Now, the 1894 ended up being strong enough to handle smokeless with its unique locking system. But John Moses Browning also decided that he would enter the smokeless rifle race and came up with the M1895 lever action rifle. Now, it was a reasonably popular sporting arm. Teddy Roosevelt had one and incredibly liked it. I think he had two, actually. Winchester 1895s. But they weren't like the huge commercial seller that the 94 was. But when the Russians showed up and said, hey, we need guns, what are you selling? They went, hey, we've got this smokeless powder, we've got the smokeless powder rifle, great locking system, endorsed by the US president, former at that time, US president. How about we sell you these? And the Russians went, okay, only proviso is we want a full-length wood stock, because they were originally sold as sporting rifles, so they had sort of half-length stocks. And we want fitting for a bayonet. Oh, bayonet and a stripper clip guide, so they could reload it with stripper clips, because the sporting versions do not, obviously, have a stripper clip loading guide. Winchester went, yep, no problem, and started cranking out these 1895 Winchesters. I seem to think they made 180,000, was it? It was a substantial amount of these rifles. And they were issued out again. Supposed to be for second line units, but they ended up being serving on the front lines quite a bit. They were quite well loved by the people that used them. In terms of playing this video game, they're actually not very good. It takes way too fucking long to cock the action. The sights are not brilliant. And it takes too long to bloody load them. It's faster than doing it with a commercial one, which I have a commercial Winchester 1895 in my collection. But the military, the Russian ones, I don't know. Just sort of take it or leave it, in my opinion. But yes, they ended up producing a crap load of these. Well, 180,000. And ended up being used for the Russians. They ended up going into warehouses after the war. A lot of them ended up being given as war aid to the Republicans in the Spanish Civil War. A whole bunch more ended up in Finland. They were dished out again for second line units in World War II, but that was like much rarer. Like, there's a handful of photographs as opposed to the, hundreds of photographs or dozens of photographs from the First World War. So again, a very interesting rifle with a good amount of history to it. But, as I said, it's still a smokeless, still a lever action rifle in a domain of bolt actions. So yeah, another interesting sort of rifle out of history. Nicely done. And again, this is another Japanese Arisaka. This is the Type 38 as opposed to the Type 30. I think I like the 38 better, actually. Although this is not bad at all, and this is certainly a lot bloody nicer than that Winchester 95. Oh, the sights alone are bloody better than that fucking Winchester. Interesting, because Winchester model rifles, the commercial ones, had a huge amount of customization. So you could have buckhorn sights, you could have adjustable sights, you could have all sorts, really. You could have full-length handguards, you could have musketoon rifles, you could have carbines. Said Winchester really did a good job of giving you a variety of fuck, 4 Austrians. No way I was going to win that fight. But yeah, Winchester gave you a boatload of options on their commercial guns. Boop. Oh yes, what else? Winchester also made patent 1914 and patent 1917 rifles as well, for the British and the Americans respectively. So Winchester was incredibly busy in World War One. They were also busy in World War II as well. As said, Winchester have always been very busy boys. Although, they were idiots for getting rid of John Moses Browning. But their loss is the rest of the firearm collecting community's gain. With such excellent designs as the FN 1900 and the Browning Auto 5. Or the Colt 1917 machine gun, or the Browning automatic rifle. Or what ended up, it was carried on by his protege, Sudiev. Started with an S. He ended up finishing the Browning High Power, but John Browning started it. Oh, of course, the 1911 too. I cannot believe I managed to pull that shot off. I genuinely thought I hit above his shoulder there. But I guess I must have taken him in the shoulder. Not bad. Must admit, Arisaka rifles, they're alright. They're not amazing. They're not anything to write home about. Like if you wanted to give me a GEW 98 or an Arisaka, I'd probably take the GEW. But Arisakas are fine. As I said, there's nothing really wrong with them. They're kind of an amalgamation of everyone else's ideas. Which is what the Japanese were kind of going for. Gosh, this is such a fucking beautiful game, even now. I'm just looking at the bloody light reflections from that oil lamp on the bolt of my rifle. Like, that level of lighting and detail is just nice. Oh, I did not deserve to win that. I totally fumbled that fucking first shot. Grateful for the follow-up, but even so. Look. I was going to say, look, you missed, to that Austrian, but turns out the Austrian managed to get his follow-up shot, unlike me. Let's go for the Type 30. Oh well. We won. Well done. Right. I shall be back later on to make a properly made video instead of filler.